Good day and welcome back. In this installment of the Harrier, pretty much going to go over the basic majority of the assembly of the fuselage and some of the little getches. There's not a lot, but there are just things to think about as you're starting to assemble the fuselage, putting the wings on, and some of the detail pieces on how that goes. The assembly pieces are actually fairly straight. Well, I don't want to say some. The assembly is fairly straightforward. The trick is being aware of the painting. And I'm going to go ahead and dig into that. You're going to need to pay attention to what your intentions are for painting and some of the detailing before you put all the big pieces together. But so essentially this is going over that. So like I said, I could sit here and waffle at you about it, but let's just go ahead and cut to it and see what we have. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about working out of sequence, because I am. So I've done all this. We've talked about all these parts, right? And putting the engine piece and getting the fuselage stuff assembly and et cetera, et cetera. I did go back and I got these done. You can see that it does call out painting those silver, which I did. Really, all I did right now is blocked in the colors for this. I have not assembled the wheels. The wheels go on at the wheel pieces go on, or will go on last. I see no reason to put them on any sooner. These are also going to go on late, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So then I roll on, and we get to this step. Now this step is a step that I'm not doing in order, and there's a reason. So this says put this together, then we make these things, and you have a choice. You can either leave these vanes open or close, right? The right air ingress, right or left air ingress. You can have these vanes open or closed. I chose to do them open just because they're more interesting to me. And I want to show you something. Now, you see that where the white extends up, right? And this is what I want to show you. So look at this picture of a Harrier. Okay, so that picture shows this gray band inside, right? And that the white extends there. And the white, there we go. And the white extends there, right? So you see that gray band inside on the intake part. And then you see that the white extends up along the fuselage. Now, what I had to do here, right, is if I had put this together without doing pre-painting on this thing, then I don't see how I would have been able to do this. This would have been, especially this part, right? So this really what it is. I painted this white, masked it, then went back and spray painted this piece. I spray painted, there we go, this piece, the same aircraft gray that I'm going to use over the body, but I needed to get that white mark. So I needed to mark where that was and then mask it so that I had that band. And in retrospect, maybe that band should be a little bit deeper, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be content with this coloring. But you can see with these how that is. Now, like I said, had I followed these instructions blindly and done all the assembly and then tried to paint it later, I would have really, really struggled with it. So now that I've done that, I did have to go back and rework the seam where this scoop meets the fuselage, because it did have a pretty ugly seam there. And the only reason I had to do that is because I have these air intakes open. If you don't have those intakes open, then you won't see them. But because I do have them open, and I'm doing it because I think they look cool, then these bars right here are going to go there, and I can see, or I'd be able to see that seam. Now you can see I still have some Bondo here that I've sanded down, and that'll go away when I paint it. I still have a little bit of cleanup here on this seam here. little bit of, and I've got cleanup underneath. So I haven't worked these seams yet. I need to clean these up and do that work yet. But that is to come. So I'm going to do these steps. You can see I've put on the tail planes and the rudder. I've put these together. And since I've gone ahead now and I've painted these, the last thing I need to do is I need to go ahead and put a wash in here and get the highlight out so that shows up well. Then I can go ahead and actually assemble it. And then I can finish the painting, once I get... And I actually am going to do most of the painting after, I'm thinking, this step here. So I'm going to not put these two wheels on because of, they're white. So I'm going to not put these two wheels on. And then I will probably go ahead and put these pieces. Actually, I'll probably go with those pieces. Put those pieces on. I don't know. I might do those because those are guns that look cool. But I get those all done. Then I can go ahead and pretty much get to, I guess maybe we'll go as far as step 19. Yeah, we'll go as far as step 19, and then we hit it with and then we will do the overall painting. Then, have to do all the armament and so forth separately and affix those on. But the other thing I'm going to do, and this is something else that the instructions call out here, and as I look at it, I'm going to say it. These show the wheel well doors molded open. And I see many, 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 many pictures of the Harrier hovering, like the one I just showed you, I believe, is it? But here's another one. Right? So that's a picture of the Harrier hovering. And it looks pretty clear to me that the landing gear doors are closed. So I intend to do exactly that. And that will save the fact that the detail in there is crappy. And it's accurate. So it looks like the way they do is they open up, the wheels go down, then they close back up. It's not dissimilar to like an Augusta 109 helicopter where the doors open up, the wheels come out, and then doors close back up again. So that's what we're going to do with this, because that's what I see on images that I've seen. But now, for now, I wanted to call out this assembly piece so that it's clear that this painting in here needs to be done before you put the stuff together. Then you can go ahead and you can stuff it with foam and whatever to protect it from the overall paint job when you go back and paint it. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and move on to these next steps and keep going. So I'm liking this, right? This one isn't falling together, so there's thinking and stuff to do with it, which is fine. They fit fairly well, and with a little bit of work, we're making it doable here. So I'm actually kind of enjoying it. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next steps. So after having done the Mang Smirch, that was actually the one that I did just before this model. The complexity of that compared to this is so different that this is my mindset is entirely different. This is going together fairly well. There's things to do. This has the feel of an older, I don't want to say older, but just it has some fit issues, but they're issues that you can handle, right? Nothing's terrible. But the complexity of this one, as I look at it, really falls into the painting, and there's a reason I've stopped here. So I've gone ahead and I've been moving forward with, I've gotten these painting pieces done. I know I mentioned having to do the painting inside for the intakes, right? To get let's see if we can get that there. You can see, so you can get that white and the black done. And then as this goes on, there's very definite steps that need to be puttied and sanded, and then I need to putty and sand a bit more here. I've done all the sanding of these seams down through there, underneath on the underside as well. Right, so there's sanding to do and then repainting. But then I'm looking at this, right? And I'm looking at all of the paint schemes. And the ones that I have, or the ones that I want to do, I'm going to put up a couple of pictures. Right? So those are dark gray over the majority of the top, with the under part of the fuselage, right, being like basically from here up to about this point, being that, let's get this in shot. So the under part is like from basically here through to up here is light gray on the under part of the fuselage and on the under part of these wings. The rest of it is the darker gray. And I'm going with, now here's the caveat I'm going to say, I'm not using the specific matching color. I'm going with a dark gray and a light gray. And they will be darker and lighter, or dark and light, but they won't be the exact match to what the specific Harrier had, because I'm going with what I had. I'm going with the type of paint that I have, which are Vallejo and Army Painter. So with that said, I've gotten this part done, and we have to sand. And before I move on, what I'm noticing is the next step is to put these on. But as I look at this and I look at the picture, the dark color of the fuselage goes right up to the wing root. Then the wing root has that light color that kind of is sort of a splotch, almost like the inverse to this one. Right, so where this is sort of this splotch on the upper wing, on the underwing of the one I'm looking at is where you have it. But what the way it is though is it stops at the wing root. So what I'm going to do, and basically I told you that story to tell you this one. Before I glue this on, I'm going to paint this with the light gray. And again, I'm gonna refer back to that one picture. Right, so all of the pylons are the dark gray. All of the additional little doodahs and doohickeys are dark gray. So like even the pieces that sit here, right, those look like those are dark gray. So what I intend to do here is, before I glue these pieces on, just like I did the painting for the interior of here before I glued this on, I'm going to paint the undersides of the wing in the light gray, glue them on, seal them, then mask off the area that I want to stay light gray when I hit this whole thing with, when I actually hit the whole fuselage with dark gray. So it'll be a little bit creative masking, but I feel like it will be easier to mask the wing root and cover the dark or cover the light than it will be to try to mask where this matches and then have a negative mask here to hit where the light color should be when I do this. So that's the way I'm attacking that. With that said, I did get this far to where, and like I mentioned, I have putty here. That all needs to be sanded down and smooth, which is just a matter of sitting and doing it. This actually went together fairly well. These are very minimal. I will hit these with a little bit of putty here. I wanted to let the glue dry up. This actually fit fairly well. On the underside of the wing, these fit here. They're a little off as far as size goes. Like, so this side on this side matches up perfectly smooth, where this one sits over just a little. So they're just off on a little bit of side, but that's okay, because just a micro bit of sanding that I've got to do works out. And all of this really feels good. So I'm liking the way that looks. And since it's going to be, pretty much sitting, where you're looking at the thing, that's kind of important. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and move on. I'm going to go ahead and paint those before I put these on, and then we'll go on to our next steps. Okay, and with that, that's going to be the end of this particular episode. Essentially just wanted to call out those things that I did, and I hope that this is, a useful and entertaining visit. I pretty much present what I have as I go through, and I'm learning, and this is the way I think through building. And like I said, I'm not an expert. This is just me finding my way along. If anybody has any suggestions, queries, questions, please feel free to put them in the comments down below. I always read them. The only thing I do ask is, please be polite and respectful. Understanding that I'm not an expert. I don't profess to be an expert. I'm just doing things the way I do and learning, and hopefully my learning helps other people and y'all at least enjoy it or at least pass the time. So until next time, thank you very much. I appreciate all of you being here, and until next time, happy modeling.